Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Adam Steele and this is Hop Pole Studios. Today we are talking to Scott from Chernobyl Studios. If you've ever been interested in recording really heavy, crushing but clear guitar tones and you can't access real amps, you want to do it with virtual amps, then this is the guy to talk to. So let's roll the intro and then we'll get absolutely bananas about this kind of thing. So the reason we're talking today is that Scott has this course that is now available through Produce Like a Pro, the Pro Mix Academy, and that is Guitar Tone Mastery. Scott, tell me all about Guitar Tone Mastery, my man.
Guitar Tone Mastery is the result of many years of frustration and literal depression of not being able to develop guitar tones. You know, that's the long and short of it, to be honest with you.
And so,
what would you like to specifically know?
Specifically, we talked in the intro about this is aimed squarely at virtual guitar tones. So how did you end up focusing entirely on virtual guitar tones? Is that just an obsession of yours? Is it something that brought you to that specifically?
Yeah, so essentially, I moved around a lot. I always kind of had ideas. When I lived in the United States, I would move for fun. And so when you're mobile like that back in 2004 and 2005, lugging around heads and stuff is just not a good call. And I did it once, and then I sold it all because it was really annoying to do all that. And then in 2010, I made a huge move to Russia. And obviously, you just can't bring anything with you. And so, essentially, why did I focus on amp simulators? Well, necessity. That was all I had. I didn't have any other choice, so I had to find a way to make it work. That's essentially the story.
Now you're based in, well, I suppose the name Chernobyl Studios is no coincidence, right?
No. There's a funny story behind it, actually. So I moved to Kiev in 2014, but I didn't initially think of Chernobyl Studios on my own. There's a guy named Alex Kappa. He's from the Metal Factory Studios in Spain. Really nice guy. Also a pretty sick producer in his own right. Does a lot of Spanish metal. Really amazing. He was trolling me one day. And he's trolling me through Facebook. And he's like, yeah, Scott, you and your Chernobyl Studios. And I was like, I went immediately to a domain register to check if someone had even the name. Nobody had it. I bought it. I bought everything right on the spot. The .com, had the email set up. I was like, Alex, thank you, dude. That is the name of my studio, Chernobyl Studios. And so I unfortunately cannot take credit for my own name, which sucks.
Well, the name of my studio is entirely based on the building that we're in. You know, the forces beyond my control, but it's a name that sticks and it's a name that people will remember, of course.
Yep. I think I have the same thing, like Chernobyl Studios. Huh. That's an interesting name.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in Kiev now, and been here. It's gonna be 6 years now. So in the entirety, I've been out of the United States for 10 years almost already. So.
Through the course, you are now working with Pro Mix Academy. That's right.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
The first time that I had seen any of your work was on Glenn Fricker, Spectre Sound Studios, Tone Wars. And I thought that was a real brutal tone that you got there. And that was something that you just told me off camera that you really had to kind of wrestle to get that tone. But you would have used the methods that you talk about in the course to really pull that out.
Absolutely. So here's the deal. Like when you start, everyone starts on a particular level. Everyone who's just getting started, it's usually a really good recommendation just to grab a Mesa Cab and an S57, one, and get your tone. Because a Mesa Cab is really generally known as being pretty friendly. But now I like to challenge myself, and I use the Marshall Heritage I think it's the G12 H75 ugly Impulse. Really unique sound, right? Awesome, interesting, unique sound, but very ugly to work with. And I'd have to go back and look at the session, but I think I had 3 instances of FabFilter with cuts and notches you know, all over the place. And it was the exact same process that I show in the course, step by step. It's just it's just like I'm on more of the advanced stuff where you can take a cabinet impulse that requires a lot of work, and you can still find a tone. But yeah, that tone was fun. But a lot of that tone also is actually in the guitar performance because that's quad track, and that took me a day just to do that small snippet because it's very notey.
Well, when you're playing it that complex and quad tracking, you need a lot of time to do that. That's why, I'm doing something for Tone Wars at the minute. I think by the time this video goes out, that'll already be out. But I decided to double track, not quad track, for that very reason.
Yeah.
Because you're a brave man.
I don't know why. I was just like, you know what? I want to make this as hard as possible. And I'm sitting here going, why do I do this? Don't understand why I do this. But no, it was a lot of fun, and I mean, anyone who's seen my channel in the last year, minimum in the last year, has heard guitar tones with what I show in the course. It's not like where I say one thing and do another. I show exactly what I do, and I don't change. I even show the plugins that I use, why I use them, But I mean, I don't want people to get hung up on, Scott says you should use a FabFilter Pro Q. No, Scott does not say that. Scott says you should know how to use the EQ. There's a difference. The stock plugins these days are way better than people give them credit for.
Well, the stock ones, they're not pretty, are they? But they work.
No, and see, when it comes to guitars, there's a set number of things that you have to do. You must do filters. You must do resonance hunting, and you don't need a 200 euro plugin, honestly, to do that. You don't, but you do need to know how to use the plugin. So when people, like other professionals, say like, well, you know what? I mean, I could use any plugin here. I just use FabFilter because it gives them extra possibilities that you can't get with the stock, like the nice smooth bandwidth, so you can make like a shelf EQ or the dynamic EQ all in one plugin. Okay, that's what we're paying for, just the higher functionality. But just the EQ itself, go ahead and grab your Cubase EQ or the ReEQ. Go for it. Literally the same.
So here's a question for you on the subject of EQ. I don't want to reveal every single secret of the course, but
Sure.
Are there any specific frequencies that you should always be looking for?
Always have to deal with low mids. Always, always, always. And this is the reason it's a physics problem here. So you've mic'd plenty of cabs in your time, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
So what does a speaker do?
It moves.
It moves. It pushes air into the microphone. What does a cabinet impulse not do?
It doesn't move.
Exactly. So physics and pushing air, you have more dynamics. You have other situations you'd have to deal with. You have a perfect representation of a snapshot in time with a cabinet IR. So you're going to have an overabundance of resonances and frequency buildups in locations that you wouldn't expect to hear them if you had a real amp. So low mids are always a special problem, and I show exactly what you can do, how to fix it, regardless of what amp or guitar you're using. So, and that's the other thing too. It's a concept. I'm not saying at 324 hertz you should do a 1.8 cut here. None of that. It's conceptual. First, you want to do this, whatever that means for your guitar. Then you do this, whatever that means for your guitar. You just have a step-by-step guide of explaining what you should do, but the decision has to be yours, because I don't have your guitar, I don't have your ears, I may not be even working the same genre as you, because this is not metal specific, it's genre agnostic. You're a jazz guitarist, so you still need to know how to use cabinet impulses. Blues guitars, same thing. You got different ears than I have, but the techniques, I've just lifted them from real world techniques and applied them, found the way to apply them into the amp sim world. That's basically it.
The reason that people should go out and buy this course really is that Scott isn't just doing a little clip, do this, do that, do this. You're walking people through the process, through the philosophy, through something they can repeat in different circumstances.
That's the key word. It's a repeatable process, already proven process, because Glenn already adopted it for his amp simulator demos. He already told me that Sigma thing that he did a while ago, he just used my process. So it works. I have tons of people who've already, over the last year, who have been in this already, have used it, and it works practically immediately because it's a repeatable process built on practice and knowledge. So it's like, Scott, what does all that mean? It's just a bunch of marketing lingo. So I literally started you from the beginning. What sound do you want? All right. Every cab has a different sound. If you're using a Mesa cab, but you're trying to get a German sound, you've already messed up.
Yeah.
You gotta start. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want a vintage sound, but you're using an Engels cab. You've already messed up. You know what I mean? You have to. It's all knowledge that you can repeat. So, like, I have a 7-string guitar that's super, super, super cheap. It's a Geo, right?
Oh yeah.
So I have a lot of low, mid, and lows build up. I know that about the guitar. It's just so like I already go into developing my tone knowing that I need to cut the heck out of the lows because I have tons of them. But if I was just doing a YouTube video and I said, yeah, so I just did I low cut it here by 6 dB, 100% guarantee that some kid or some guy over there is going to do the same exact cut. And what's he going to do? This sucks, dude. I did the exact same thing you did. So that's I wanted the course people to understand, like, you most likely don't have to do what I have to do. In fact, you probably shouldn't. But here is how you can apply what I'm doing to your situation.
When I started learning, YouTube wasn't really a thing. I mean, this is showing our ages a little bit, but I really...
Mid-30s. Woo!
Yeah, woo! But I really wish that something like this was there when I was starting, because I learned a lot of what we do here by doing it the wrong way, doing it the hard way, making it sound terrible, and then working through. And if someone could show me a good philosophy and a good way of doing it that saves a lot of mistakes and a lot of time, yeah, I mean, I could get great guitar tones way before, it took me probably 10 years or more of repeated hard work.
Yep.
And if someone had shown me all this stuff, it would have been a lot less.
See, and that's the key word. Let me be clear here. This is not like the get-rich-quick scheme of guitar tones. You still have to go through the process of developing your ear. I don't, like I said, I've been working on this for over 5 years. It's not like just recently, there we go, great tones. It's just the ears have become more refined with practice. So what will happen, though, is like you said, you worked on this for 10 years, struggling like in a black hole. And if you had someone who went like, dude, no, you want to do it like this. Well, that 10 years probably would have turned into 2.
Yeah.
Because you would have been practicing the right techniques. You still got to practice, still got to do all that. And that's what this is really set out to do. It's like, you don't have to waste 5 years anymore going through YouTube, hoping some dude drops a nugget in a 22-minute video. You can just get the philosophy and the info right now and practice the things that actually matter. And then literally in 6 to 8 months' time, you could look at the tone you created today versus the tone you'll create in 6 to 8 months, and it'll be drastic difference.
And this course, it's not just a bunch of videos either, is it? There's other material in the course there that you can help people with, talk them through. There's a whole resource there.
Correct. So, I mean, the videos obviously are important. Everyone, should watch them all. But I also have like 7, I think, PDF guides where I even break down my method very pedantically in a PDF, step by step. First, you do this because ABC. Then you should do this because XYZ. And I even give lists of questions that I used to answer myself, like, does it hurt my ears? Is this painful? Does it sound bright? I'm giving myself pointers, so I'm listening to specific things, right? Notice I'm not saying, did you cut out 4K? Did you check the 2K region? I'm not doing that because that pigeonholes people into looking into specific frequencies that sometimes won't be a problem, but they'll cut them anyway, and they'll miss the blathing issue that is 2.7 for some reason. Who knows? But asking those kind of questions, like a list like this, just like of questions you can ask yourself when you're analyzing your tone. And I also want to preface something very quickly, I also do a PDF of all the gear that I used. So I show you the gear that I used. And just for full disclosure, I'm using the first generation 2i2 Focusrite,
Oh, the old
which
Scarlet.
everyone knows is literal garbage. The manufacturer themselves said, "Yep, High Z doesn't work. You got to get a DI box." All right. So, and this thing is old. Like it's starting to have issues. So I'm using a super old interface with a $200 7-string Ibanez. Okay. Into a Ultra DI box Behringer. It's like $20.
Oh, one of the silver ones.
Yeah,
the old
it's one of these
DI-20s.
big guys like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got the red version around here somewhere. The GI20.
there you go. Yeah, the
in
red
corner,
one.
Yeah.
And the most expensive thing that I had, it was a birthday present from my parents, were the Eve Audio SC205s, right? That they bought 5 years ago. So my point being that you don't need a $3,000 guitar, you don't need an RME Babyface, you don't need you don't need all these things. You have everything you have right now. And there you can start on Emissary. Emissary is a fantastic starting point. If you don't have a lot of money right now, you can invest in this and get the most out of what you have right now. And then in time, for example, like you didn't start your studio and have all that gear.
No.
That's years of time where you're like, oh, okay, I get this piece. But the interesting thing was like, were you ready for all that gear in the beginning when you opened your studio?
Probably not.
So that's the interesting thing. Are you ready for a $3,000 guitar into a super tricked out rig? No, most likely not.
I suppose the
So
question
we all
is, would
start
you get anything better out of the gear without the knowledge?
It's been proven already that no. That I mean that's a meme, right?
Yeah.
It's not the gear. It's
It's the
So
all that.
that's
Yeah.
the thing.
It sounds like a cliche, but in many ways, it's so true.
And it's so frustrating because when you're just starting and you literally go on the forums, you're like, oh, I just don't know what to do. And everyone's like, use your ear, bro. In the beginning, you don't know what that means.
Yeah.
The course that I'm like, okay, use your ears for this, this, and this.
So that's the key, isn't it? Is at this point, this is what you should be looking for. This is what you should be hearing.
Right.
Opening people's.
Right. It's a complete guide.
Yeah, opening people's minds. It's funny when I'm editing, because when I've got clients in the studio, I edit very quickly, and people are saying to me, "Well, how do you know what to look for?" And I'm like, "I've spent 15 years doing this. By this point, I can practically see it like the Matrix, but I couldn't on day one. On day one, I didn't know what I was looking for."
When I'm talking about this course, I spoke with Warren and Glenn, and I'm. Speak to people personally. I try to be very upfront and say this is not the get-rich-quick scheme of amp sims.
Right.
It's not going to be like Easy Mix 2. I hate Easy Mix 2. Like Glenn has a point about drums sounding the same and stuff like that. I hear him. I get his point of view. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Guitars are getting there too. Mason FM57, SM57 everywhere. Oh, Easy Mix 2 presets everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to get out of that, if you want to finally sound like you, this is what you need. So that you can take your guitar with your tonal preferences and you'll find them and then you will sound like you, right? Like everyone's like, dude, you can listen to a Pantera song anywhere in the world and in 3 seconds, Dimebag. Why? Well, because he has a kind of crappy, unique, different solid state tone that works.
Yeah.
Right? But it's ultra identifiable. You cannot mistake that anytime, anywhere, ever.
It's funny. I've always said, and it sounds controversial, I hate Dimebag Darrell's tone, but for him,
it's not.
For him, it was perfect, and it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's totally Pantera.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, when I was younger, I didn't know what the heck I was listening for. I was like, dude, this is. Now I'm like, oh. Even a little bit of mids, please. Just one notch. Just one.
Just one mid.
Yeah, or, we can't. But see, that's the thing, too. It was his identifiable voice that made him who he was. And there's no way in hell that we can replicate that or that people are going to get it with Easy Mix 2 preset.
Right.
Okay? And you have to put in the work, but you want to maximize the time. You don't have time to sit here messing about going through YouTube searches all the time. You need the resource that gives you this, and this, so that if you only got an hour a day because maybe you work or you have family, you got 1 hour. Well, here you can maximize this 1 hour, because I even have a practice regime video teaching you how you can practice building your ears in 15 minutes a day. If you just want to do it, if you only got an hour, you could start that hour with doing this practice regime, get your ears built up, and I promise you, in time, you'll be able to recognize, like how you recognize edits, not enough mids, too much highs, too boomy, all these things that you can do, so you can adjust, what you need to do.
Amazing. It's exactly the kind of thing I might check this course out myself and just sit down and give it a watch just to see if there's anything I've missed.
I have to be completely honest with you. So, you made the point that YouTube was not what it was when I started to really seriously try to do this,
right?
Which would have been the 2012-2013 time. I struggled for a long time, actually, until I found your Celestion series, where you sat down and you were like, okay, now here is the Celestion and it sounds like this.
Yeah.
And I'm literally going, I don't hear the difference at all, bro. Until one day, there was an A/B where I'm like, more mids. And then it just your ears start to just get it. And then now when someone's like, I prefer, like creambacks over V30s, I know exactly what they mean.
Yeah, and you know then why, and you start to speak the language.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And then and when you think about that, that opens up the world. Like, yeah, you know what? I kind of want to get away from the V30s. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to try some, 75s or maybe some 65s. Let's try some greenbacks. I bought the Celestion redbacks from that Celestion website just for lulz, see what they sounded like, And that's where all the tones change. Because the amp simulator, yes, okay, all right. A Marshall sounds like a Marshall.
Yeah.
But that Marshall will sound different through every different speaker and cab that you pass it through.
By huge amounts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the key, right? That's the actual key. And so that's it. That's like if I would have paid for this course when I started.
Absolutely. And it's funny that a lot of people don't realize that different types of speakers, it's not just an EQ profile, right? You couldn't just get a blank speaker and then just put an EQ over the top and suddenly it sounds like a V30, sounds like a creamback. That's not how it works.
And you did that in your video series where you're like, the strength of the magnet, this thing is heavy as hell, this magnet is ginormous, and it changes everything. And once you realize, wow, there's physics involved here, there's like, okay, got it. And so it's silly to think that like, oh, I'll just, pass a preset or some kind of EQ and everything will be great. It's frustrating and it bothers me. I'm sure it bothers you because you legit, like I've watched your channel. You helped me, like inadvertently. This course, it was, has come to be because I was able to gain an understanding with your help, with your useful content. Right.
That's ridiculous.
That like helped me bridge the gap. Yeah,
amazing.
True, man. Help me bridge the gap to where I could learn. Oh, I'm supposed to be listening for this. Oh. Because before that, it's all YouTube searches how to make a cool metal tone.
Yeah.
Well, what you do is you just grab your V30 Mesa Boogie and you just plug a dip. They take your RME Fireface and $3,000 guitar, make 2 EQ notches because it sounds amazing already, and then it's not helpful at all.
No. It's like it's ready to mix. It's okay. Well, what about if it wasn't?
What happens when you got a guy, maybe a kid, 16, 17 years old, who, is got his first, not his first guitar, but, a guitar like mine, $200-$300, and he can plug into even like a micro USB, like not even a 2i2. Now what?
Yeah. But the thinking about everything in that way, it's, if you go, well, I like the sound of this, here's why I like the sound of this, here's the problems that I have with it though. That's where I think that this kind of approach is really going to help to personalize things, because like you said, so many people are using that same stock, and it's not just this speaker and this microphone, it's this speaker, this microphone, this cabinet, this position, this vanilla absolute textbook
All
thing.
the same. Yeah.
I like the Vintage 30. I very rarely do it the way everybody else does. I have cabinets built that are not the normal shape. I'm not a big fan of the SM57. You know, and when I do use it, I tend to blend it with something else because I know the characteristics of...
Sure.
You know, in my head, I'm building up this flavor.
Yep.
And
Well, see, that comes with the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I know what an SM57 sounds like.
Right.
I know it blends well with a Royer or an MD421 in a certain mic, in a certain position, in a certain way. But I mean, that all will only come with experimentation, which you do not get just buying these. I'm sorry, I keep ragging on TuneTrack. I am not actually. It's just the expectation that, oh, I have this preset, I'm gonna sound amazing. Maybe, but most likely not. Or the preset will get you 80% of the way there, but you still need to use the techniques that you would learn in Guitar Tone Mastery to do the extra 20%. So at the end of the day, it still comes down to you always have to tweak it, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's like cooking is the same way. Recipes are the same way. You can't just make the recipe exactly how it's written. You know, food or meat tastes different based on where you are in the world. You know, milk, it's all different.
Yeah, it's a great analogy that food tastes different to different people based on how they taste things.
Yeah,
and guitar tone is very similar. That I think you like what you like. And even if you hear a guitar tone that you like, then you start asking the questions of how did they get that tone?
And even better, you know, I had a guy who took the course. He plays live all the time, and he was just always annoyed that like he could never get a nice live sound. He couldn't get things working, you know. And he took the course, and he was like, "Dude, I get it. You know, now I know what I need to look for and how to develop the tone live." And I'm like, "Dude, that's fantastic news. Obviously, I'm very happy for that." And it was just like the light bulb goes on eventually, where you're like, "I get it." So now it does. So now all you would need to do, for example, let's say a new band comes out with an album that you really liked. You like the sound of it. I'll tell you what I do. I search what cab they used. That's it. I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool tone. What did they do? Oh, they blended a couple of cabs together. All right, that makes sense. What, you know, and then I don't even care about the microphones because I know that the cab is 95% of the end result. Because, like I say, you cannot make a Mesa sound like an Engel.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. So that's the cool thing. But I mean, it's But I mean, I'm super pumped about the course because I mean, I just wish this has existed when I was starting, so I could have had a better sound many years ago instead of only up until recently. But I mean, there are plenty of people who have already written me emails, and you know, I have messages, and even on the Glenn Fricker thing, I got tons of people on there going, dude, there's a comment on there that I saw. The guy was like, this guy just dunked on all of you with a Geo.
Amazing.
It was like, you know, but I mean, if it sounds good, it is good. You know what I mean? All the technical nonsense aside, if you develop a sound that you like, good. You know, that's all. That's the end of the day.
That's what it's all about. So if, ladies and gentlemen, you like the sound of this and you really want to get your own guitar tone, get it sounding the way you want so it sits in a mix, sounds great, check out Scott's course. The link is available in the description right now, and for the next few days at least, this is going to be on sale, so get it while you can.
Yep.
Go get it. Link is there. Go clicky, clicky. Scott, thank you.
Clicky.
Yeah, clicky.
No, thank you, man. It's an absolute honor. I mean, it's always like hard to believe, you know, like just a couple of years ago, I was watching you explain Celestions. And so really, it's really cool where I can give you the recognition that you deserve for you helping me understand how to listen to speakers. So I think...
Thank you.
So, I mean I'm...
It's funny. I'm really excited to look at this course myself because it's the kind of thing where there's always something to learn, and I really believe that you know the old phrase "a rising tide lifts all ships."
Absolutely.
I mean,
You know, I
my
mean,
channel's getting
I
bigger and
couldn't-
growing, which is amazing. But then yours is as well, and so it's great to see everybody doing well and getting our names out there and really helping people where we can.
Especially with you, and I gotta tell another thing too. So I've been more or less a Cubase user for the past year or so.
Right.
All this hype again with you talking about Reaper all over the place. I'm like, ugh, dang it. and so I mean, I can't deny I really love the instant loading of Reaper versus 30 seconds or more with Cubase.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
And so if you want to learn more about really heavy, brutal death metal as well, Scott's always there for your more extreme kind of side of things, which I listen to a lot of that stuff as well, but I try and appeal to a broad audience, but what I listen to in my spare time is heavy. So, yeah.
Heavy? Good. I appreciate it.
Check out Scott's channel.
It's true, yeah.
And I think that's a good place to call it an evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you much
thanks
for watching.
Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao for now. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, feel free to check out our other videos, as you can find here, or check out our Facebook and Twitter, or our Patreon page, which helps us to make more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.